Imagine waking up tomorrow and your job no longer exists, not because you were fired, not because you made a mistake, not because the economy crashed, but because a machine learned to do it better than you, faster than you, cheaper than you, and it never sleeps. This is not science fiction. This is not a conspiracy theory whispered in dark corners of the internet. This is the warning coming directly from the man who built the future, Elon Musk, the man who launched cars into space, the man who drilled tunnels beneath cities, the man who wired the human brain to a computer. This man, this architect of tomorrow, stood in front of the world and said something that stopped everyone cold. He said, "There will come a point where no job is needed." Read that again. Let it sit in your chest. No job is needed, not yours, not mine. Not the doctors, not the lawyers, not the engineers, not the teachers, not the truck drivers, not the artists. No job is needed. And yet, here you are, building a career, studying for a degree, waking up every morning and trading your time for money, planning a future inside a system that one of the most powerful men on earth just told you is about to dissolve. So the question is not whether this is coming. The question is, and what are you going to do before it arrives? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you will not just warn you, it will wake you up. And if you let it, it will change the direction of your entire life. His name was David, 43 years old, a factory worker in Detroit, Michigan. For 22 years, David showed up to the same building, pulled on the same gloves, operated the same machinery. He was good at it. He was proud of it. He raised 2 children on that salary. He paid a mortgage. He coached Little League on weekends. David believed in something that his father taught him and his grandfather before that if you worked hard, if you showed up, if you gave your best, the world would take care of you. Then one Tuesday morning, a regular Tuesday, nothing special about it, David walked into the factory and found a letter on his locker. The plant was automating. 60% of the workforce would be replaced by robotic arms within 18 months. The machines had already been ordered. The contracts were already signed. The decision had already been made, somewhere in a boardroom David had never seen, by people who had never met him, who had never watched him work, who had never seen the pride in his eyes when he talked about what he built. David sat in his car for 2 hours that day. He didn't cry. He didn't call anyone. He just sat there, staring at the steering wheel, trying to figure out where 22 years had just gone. This story is not rare. It is not dramatic. It is not exceptional. This story is already happening, right now, in cities across America, across Europe, across Asia, across the world. And if what Elon Musk is warning us about comes to pass, fully, completely, at the scale he is describing, David's story will not be the exception. It will be the rule, and the terrifying part. The machines coming next are not just taking the hands, they're coming for the mind. We have always told ourselves a comforting lie. We said machines will take the physical jobs, the dangerous jobs, the dirty jobs, the repetitive jobs, but the creative work, that's ours. The thinking work, that's ours. The jobs that require judgment and wisdom and emotional intelligence, those will always belong to human beings. We told ourselves that story. We repeated it. We believed it. We were wrong. Artificial intelligence is not a smarter calculator. It is not a faster search engine. It is not a convenient little tool that sits in the corner of your life and helps you write emails. Faster artificial intelligence is a thinking machine, a learning machine, a machine that reads millions of books in the time it takes you to finish one paragraph, a machine that can diagnose cancer, write legislation, compose symphonies, argue court cases, design buildings, generate code, hold conversations, and make decisions, all before you finish your morning coffee. Elon Musk didn't just warn us about this once. He has been sounding this alarm for years, louder and louder and louder, while the world scrolled past his words on their phones, distracted by the noise of daily life. He said AI is the most transformative and potentially dangerous technology in human history. He called it summoning a demon. He said it surpasses human intelligence in ways we are not prepared for. He stepped away from the very companies advancing it because he was afraid of what they were building, and this is the man who built some of it. Let that land. When the person with the matches tells you the fire is out of control, you listen. But here's the deeper struggle. The one that nobody talks about. The one that lives inside each of us quietly, underneath the surface of our busy lives. It is not just the jobs we are about to lose. It is the identity. Because for most of us, and be honest with yourself right now, for most of us, our work is our worth. We introduce ourselves with our job title. We feel valuable when we are productive. We measure our purpose by our usefulness. We tie our dignity to our output. What happens to a human being when the output is no longer needed? What happens to David, not just financially, but spiritually when the machine does in 6 seconds what took him 22 years to master? That is the real darkness at the center of this conversation, and Elon Musk knows it. That's why he didn't just warn us about the economics. He warned us about the meaning. He said human beings may struggle to find purpose in a world where AI can do everything better. That is not a business problem. That is a human crisis. But here is where the story turns, because the most dangerous response to a warning is paralysis, and the most courageous response, the response that separates the people who will thrive from the people who will be buried, is to hear the warning clearly, feel the weight of it honestly, and then choose to move. Elon Musk did not just issue a warning and walk away. He also offered a vision. And the vision, if you hear it properly, is not only terrifying, it is extraordinary. He said that a future where AI does the work is a future where human beings are freed from compulsion, a future where you do not have to work to survive, a future where you work only if you choose to, only for meaning, only for passion, only for love of the craft. He spoke about universal basic income, the idea that if machines generate all the wealth, that wealth must flow back to human beings so that survival is no longer the reason we drag ourselves out of bed every morning. Think about what that means, not just economically, philosophically. For the first time in human history, the question would not be, how do I survive? The question would be, who am I? What do I love? What am I here to create? What mark do I want to leave? That is either the greatest opportunity in the story of our species or the greatest trap. And which one it becomes depends entirely on what we choose to do with this moment. Right now, while there is still time to prepare. So let me give you the lessons, not as bullet points, not as tips, but as truths carved from the warning itself. The first truth is this: the skills you were sold are expiring. The education system handed you a product and called it a future. It told you, learn this skill, earn this degree, get this certification, and you will be safe. And for generations that was true. But the shelf life of a learned skill has never been shorter than it is right now, and it is getting shorter every year. Musk himself said it. AI is improving at a pace that outstrips human ability to adapt through traditional education. This does not mean education is worthless. It means the kind of education that matters has changed. The question is no longer what do you know, it is how fast can you learn? How well can you think? How deeply can you create? The machine will always know more facts than you. But the machine cannot hunger for truth the way a human soul can. Feed that hunger. Never stop learning, not because a system told you to, but because your survival now depends on the quality of your mind, not just the content of it. The second truth, adaptability is now the only real job security. David lost his job not because he was bad at it. He lost it because he was only good at one thing, in one context, in one system. The most dangerous place in the modern world is the comfortable groove of a single skill set. The people who will outlast this revolution are not the ones who are best at their current job. They are the ones who can pivot, reinvent, absorb, evolve. They are the ones who treat change not as a threat, but as information. Every disruption is a door. The question is whether you're standing at it with your arms crossed or with your hand on the knob. The third truth, human connection will become the rarest and most valuable currency on Earth. Everything that is purely informational, purely transactional, purely mechanical, AI will devour it. But the things that are irreducibly human, the therapist who sits with you in your grief, the teacher who sees something in you that you haven't seen in yourself, the leader who walks into a room and makes every person feel that their life matters, those things cannot be automated. Not because the machine isn't smart enough, but because human beings do not just need answers. They need presence. They need to be witnessed. They need to feel that another soul, another beating heart, genuinely cares. Build that capacity in yourself. Invest in your emotional intelligence the way previous generations invested in technical skills. It is the one asset that appreciates in direct proportion to how much AI advances. The fourth truth: the people who shape AI will not be the ones destroyed by it. Musk did not watch technology happen to him. He leaned into it. He studied it. He built it. He challenged it. He argued with it publicly when he thought it was going in the wrong direction. You do not have to build the next Tesla or SpaceX, but you must understand what is being built around you. Ignorance of AI in 2026 is the equivalent of ignorance of the internet in 1995. The people who understood what the internet was and who saw it clearly, while others dismissed it, those people built the 21st century. The people who understand what AI is right now, while others are still scrolling past the headlines, those people will build what comes next. The fifth truth, and this is the deepest one: your purpose must be bigger than your paycheck. This is the truth underneath all the other truths, because if the worst-case version of Musk's warning comes true, if large-scale automation does eliminate vast categories of traditional employment, then the only people who will not fall apart are the people who already know why they are alive beyond the job they hold. The people who have invested in their relationships, their creativity, their spirituality, their community, their inner life. The machine cannot make you a great father. The machine cannot make you a faithful friend. The machine cannot make you brave. The machine cannot make you kind. Those things are yours. They have always been yours. And in a world where the machine does everything else, they will be the only things that matter. I want you to stay here with me for a moment. Stop thinking about your job. Stop thinking about your career. Stop thinking about the economy and the algorithms and the stock prices and the quarterly reports. Just be here. You were born in the most extraordinary and terrifying moment in the history of human civilization. You were born at the exact intersection of everything humanity has ever built. Every discovery, every war, every breakthrough, every act of love, and every act of destruction. And the moment that everything we built gave birth to something that can now think. That is not a small thing to carry. That is enormous, and there will be days, there will already have been days, and when it feels like too much, when the ground under your feet feels like it's shifting faster, then you can find your footing. When you look at the world and you feel like you don't recognize it anymore, when you wonder whether the future has room for someone like you, I need you to hear this. The future has always been shaped not by the machines, but by the humans who refuse to be defined by them. Every single time in history that a new technology threatened to make human beings obsolete, the printing press, the Industrial Revolution, the automobile, the computer, there were people who stood at the edge of the disruption and said, I will not let this bury me. I will learn. I will grow. I will find my place in the new world. I will carry my humanity through the change and plant it on the other side. Those people existed then. And you are one of those people now. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Something in you is awake. Something in you is listening. Something in you knows that the comfortable path and the safe path and the path of least resistance is about to end, and something in you is ready. David, sitting in that parking lot, eventually got out of the car. He went back inside. He enrolled in a night school program. He learned something new. He built something different. He didn't become Elon Musk. He didn't start a tech company, but he adapted. He found new ground. He stood back up. That is not a small victory. That is the victory, because the machines can take the job, but they cannot take the decision to rise. They cannot take that from you. So here is your challenge, not a suggestion. A challenge today, not next week. Not when things slow down, not when you feel ready. Today, you are going to ask yourself one question that most people spend their entire lives running from. If my current job disappeared tomorrow, who am I and what would I build? Sit with that question. Be honest with it. Be uncomfortable with it, because the discomfort is the work. The discomfort is where your real future is hiding. Start learning something that the machine cannot easily replicate. Not because it's practical, because it's deeply irreducibly human. Start investing in your relationships like they are your most valuable assets, because they are. Start building something. creating something, contributing something that comes from the part of you that no algorithm can access. Stop waiting for the world to tell you that you matter. You matter because you are here, because you are conscious, because you can love and grieve and wonder and create and choose. Those things are not features. They are not upgrades. They are not in any training data. They are yours. Elon Musk issued a warning, and warnings are gifts, even when they arrive wrapped in fear, because a warning means there is still time. A warning means the story is not over. A warning means you still have a role to play in how this ends. The future is not something that will happen to you. The future is something you will happen to. So wake up, pay attention, learn ferociously, love deeply, create boldly, adapt without apology. And when the machines arrive in full swing, and they are coming, make no mistake, let them find you standing, prepared, clear-eyed, rooted in something they can never touch. Let them find you human. Fully, fiercely, unapologetically human. That is the only answer to Elon Musk's warning that has ever mattered. If this moved you, share it. Not for the algorithm, for the person in your life who is asleep. For the David sitting in the parking lot who needs to hear that getting back out of the car is still possible. For the young person choosing a career path in a world that is changing faster than any of us expected. Share it, because this conversation is too important to stay between you and a screen. And if you're ready to go deeper, stay close, because this is only the beginning.